Hello guys and welcome to Daddy's Share Space. So I had said that I was going to give a update last season on the yard and I didn't get around to it, but now that the season is back to start working on the yard, I thought I would show how things progressed over last season and what we accomplished, and then show you what we're starting with this season. So as you see here, I'm getting in some tilling both with the electric tiller and also with the manual tiller. I found that in certain spots the manual tiller worked better, and in other spots the electric tiller worked better. Now, what you see in the footage is that I was using my Ryobi tiller, but I also have an Ego tiller, and I was kind of using both of those interchangeably to get the yard all tore up so that I could reseed. This was a pretty big job, but in the end, this is kind of what I was working with. So the backyard, you see, I didn't do it 90%, or I didn't do it 100%. You can see that I did a lot of it. And the front yard on one side, I actually did it completely. So then I bought this Landsea lawn leveler, and started buying a bunch of topsoil and just throwing it down with, providing just, I guess, like a nutrient rich layer to come back and seed. Now, if I could do this all over again, I probably would have put seed down first, but basically I ended up using a ton of dirt because I put this layer down and then I came back and I put some seed on it, and then I came back after that and I put a layer of topsoil over the seed so that the birds wouldn't just come and eat it, and or get washed away. Again, I must reiterate that this was some back-breaking work. You can see over there to the left the planter boxes that I built, and you can see the pumpkin plant starting to sprout up out of there. I am putting some clips in this video showing a little bit of the progression of the things that we did have the opportunity to grow last season, and you'll also see what we've started this season as well. Now this lawn leveling rake, it comes in multiple sizes. I think it's the 24 inch, but you can get it like in a 36 inch and maybe even a 48 inch as far as the width, so that you can actually level a larger area of ground. I found it to work pretty well, and it made, spreading dirt a little bit easier, at least in my opinion. Now, after I finish spreading dirt in this way, I put the seed down, and then I bought this Landsea. I think it's a peat moss roller, but I saw that people use it to actually put down topsoil, so I tried my hand at it, and I have to admit it works pretty darn well. So if I ever have to reseed, this is going to be my chosen method of basically putting down a layer of topsoil over the top. It it does run out pretty quickly, and this device as well comes in multiple sizes. I believe this is the 24 inch as well, but you can get it in like a 36 inch and larger or whatever. And basically you just take your bag of dirt, pour it in there, or you could use peat moss as well, and just roll it, and it just, covers the lawn. And as you can see, I'm getting a nice coverage. You see the darker dirt there, and it just gives the seed something to kind of bite into, and protects it from, weather. It helps hold moisture so that the seed can actually germinate, and also limits the birds from coming down and picking up the seed off the ground and ruining all of your work. So you see here I'm doing that front section, and you can see, so I had this all bare dirt, and you can see certain areas are growing in, so I had to just keep hitting this up. And in seasons before, I tilled it all up and planted seed and it didn't grow all in. This time I started reseeding. So here, these were areas where I sprayed some weed killer, and you can see it got pretty out of hand. So you see the brown area. So what I did is I just put top dirt down over these areas and threw grass seed, and then put some more topsoil over the top. And you'll see when I come back to this how it's actually going to fill in. So I didn't know if this method would work. I just tried it because, I was pretty much at my wits' end with this lawn. It's pretty crazy. And this area right here is kind of a problem area for whatever reason. I don't know if it stays too moist or what, but it doesn't really grow in very well. This portion of the yard is not quite so bad, but as you see, right here, all of this edging here, I had to go back and basically there were just weeds there, and I sprayed that weed killer that basically I guess it kills for a while. So I had these huge ugly spots in the lawn for a while. And again, as I said, all I did, I didn't even cut the grass back. I simply just threw grass seed down and threw some dirt over top of it. And here I was going back and trying to manually pull individual weeds. My goal was basically to have a completely weed free lawn. But it just seemed, man, this is an arduous task. I mean, I was just, going at it. My wife was laughing at me because every time you turn around, I was outside digging up the lawn, trying to conquer these weeds. I don't even understand the concept of where they all come from. They just seem to only be in our yard, but you know, I put in that work and I tried to get the best results that I possibly could get. And obviously, doing this type of work, it takes up a lot of time, takes up a lot of energy. So clearly, I'm not in the shop during this time. I'm out here doing this. And I think I did the video about the fence. Okay, here you can see the early stages of the pumpkin plant. And then there's the early stage of the watermelon plant. And then you can see later on, this is what the pumpkin plant did. And then this is the watermelon plant kind of flourishing here. We just put it in like a plastic tote, and then you see the pumpkin plant just going buck wild. Now, hindsight 2020, we shouldn't have put it in that raised planter box. We didn't know, inexperience, but there's some jalapenos that we got going, and then some tomatoes that we planted. We also planted some okra, but it didn't really come out very well. It actually got really hard because I think we left it a little too long. And here's our first pumpkin starting to grow in. And then there's a watermelon that the kids ended up eating. And then there's a pumpkin. We only got like maybe from this big plant, we didn't get a bunch of pumpkins, but they got up to be about 25 pounds or so. Now here you can see the front yard starting to germinate in certain spots, but it's not consistent across, the whole yard. It's just really sparse. So again, I just kept reseeding and throwing down dirt on top of it. Probably raised the whole yard a few feet, up just from all the dirt I kept throwing down. And this is just another angle of the same area where you can see that, all of this was tilled. This whole area was just complete dirt for a while. And I actually sprayed it or I put down some of that weed killer that lasts like 3 months. And didn't really process the fact that it would keep the grass seed from growing too. But when the time came, I put the grass seed down, and it just started to kind of slowly but surely um, grow in. And you can see here, this is before I put up the fence because my neighbor was actually complaining because I was running the sprinkler multiple times during the day trying to get these seeds to germinate, trying to keep the lawn wet. And he complained because the water was going over on their property or whatever. So that's why I ended up building that, kind of ugly fence that I built. I had no experience with fence building up to that point, but it was a fun project. All I did was use 2 by lumber to build it, and then I stained it, and I put it in such a way as to where it'll be easy to take out if I need to. Now I did dig holes and put concrete so that it holds fast and it's held up during a storm. Again, here, this is the backyard. You can see how it's sparsely coming in, but this is a positive sign for me to actually see, the grass seeds starting to germinate. Now, a few seasons back, I had things going like this, and then it just kept dying and just, not, and then the weeds would take over. So, as I said, just reiterating, I just kept seeding and throwing dirt down. All right, now we're to this season, or actually, no, 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 this is actually not this season. This right here, you can see this is just later on how I'm looking or how things were was looking as it started to get a little bit more full. Again, reseeding, more dirt, kept cutting it to see, what would happen. The rainy season really helped out with filling out the actual line, and you'll see here as we move along, you'll see how well it did. You see, I kept having these spots that were pretty much completely bald, and you know, the only thing I knew to do was throw seed down and put dirt over it. That's it. I didn't have any kind of magic formulas. And whenever I would see weeds, I would go and dig them up. My wife kept telling me just leave it, but it just was, it was a pet peeve of mine. You see these weeds right here. You see it there. But you see those areas of grass. Okay, now you see another stage of how the dirt is looking here, and it seems to be doing a little bit better, starting to fill in a little bit, right? And just basically, so this kind of stayed like this for a while before it really, came to life and started to, um, you know, fill in, if you will. You can see there what it looks like. Okay, and this is what it looks like now, right here. So this is that front area where I had those brown spots. You can see it's not 100% grass in every area, but it is green. And it looks substantially better than when it had the brown spots. You can see there's weeds here and there. Right now, I'm not going to concern myself with those weeds. I'm just going to let it be. You see, there was a big brown spot in there, or those brown areas, and you can see it's totally gone. And up around the root of this tree, you can see how that is. And then over here, this is that problem area. It's still pretty sparse, but I just keep, you know, doing the same thing, rinse and repeat. And if this doesn't grow in before, summer, I think I may kind of dig out this part and just roll some sod and put some sod there and just keep watering it and see if the sod will take just for this area right here that seems to be problematic with growing in. But the rest of it looks, pretty good, I think. You can see all the little white little petals from the flower. So this right here, I don't even know what that is, what kind of grass or whatever it is. It's a really coarse type of whatever it is. And then we come over here. Now this is the part that was completely dirt. Now you can see right here, I got these kind of clovery type weeds in here, but it's green. As I said before, it is green, and you just see, you know, how much better the lawn is looking. Again, I'm not a professional. There's another patch of crabgrass that, that stuff is very difficult to get rid of. But you see what it looks like now as opposed to how it looked before. By me putting up that little fence, I was able, last season to water the lawn as much as I needed to. I think in a previous video I kind of showed how like I had dug up and made like a trench and put down some extra sprinklers, and here's another, piece of weed there that you see. But clearly, it's an improvement over what it was, definitely from when it was dirt. And this area up here where I'm at, it actually was sod in here, But the sod, you know how sod gets when it gets old, it looks really bad. So I just took all of that out, threw it away. And here, this is another area that's, having a little bit of difficulty. All right, so you can see here, this is what the back is looking like. So you see, it's not perfect, but it's green. As I said, I just keep reiterating, it's green, right? And remember, a lot of this was dirt. You saw me rolling the Landsea over it and spreading, you know, well, I put down grass seed and then put the dirt up. But this is what I'm working with right now. So you have to let me know what you think about my job. See, there's more crabgrass. And I think this season, I'm probably just gonna, call this good. I'm not gonna really put much more work into this right now because I really want to spend, most of this summer in the shop doing my woodworking and trying to grow those skills. But, sometimes I kind of bite off more than I can chew. And there's a little hummingbird over there. And it ends up getting me distracted. It's more that kind of coarser type grass right there. I don't know what that is, but I'm not a botanist. And yeah, and then you see these kind of like cacti type plants. Now these were never in the yard before, but now they are. If I do anything, I may dig those up, and as I said, just put a piece of sod over those spots because I'm not really looking to be looking at any dirt this season. So it'll be a very quick one-to-one thing where basically I go get the sod. Okay, here's my wife planted something in here. I don't know what it is yet, and then in here as well. So we'll get to see. This is I think it's a tomato plant. We bought that one, so we're gonna see how. So basically, she's doing a mix of seed and then a few purchased plants. I think I don't know what that is, a cucumber or something like that. And then here she's got stuff planted in this planter. And then the only thing that we have right now that's actively, well, that's already grown and that we're harvesting is here. She made this salad bowl or planted this salad bowl lettuce right when it was the season. So now we're eating this pretty much daily right now. Um, there's one to the far right up there at the top. It died for some reason. We're not really quite sure, but the other ones are flourishing and doing very well. And you can kind of get a little look at, I didn't put any. Oh my, so all three of my daughters, they each picked out a plant, so they're taking care of these flowers, helping them to learn, about taking care of plants and such. And they help my wife with the garden, so that's theirs. And then you can kind of get a view of the planter boxes that I built. These are the first ever planter boxes I built. They're not perfect, but and I didn't use any kind of like oil or any kind of finish on them. They're just natural. They were pretty expensive because I made them 100% out of redwood and cedar. Anyways, guys, thanks for taking time to watch the video, and I'll see you in my next one.